All right, old school NBA fans, self-research NBA facts. We got another video here for you. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Thanks to anybody who subscribes to my channel, watches my videos. As always, I really appreciate it. I don't know if any of you guys saw, I debated FYF Sports on Saturday, 12 Eastern time. I thought it was a decent debate. Couple things I just kind of forgot to say. I was debating Bill Russell against LeBron James. Couple things. I just kind of ran out of time. I didn't get to say everything I wanted, and I was going to clear some things up about Bill Russell, but that debate is mired in controversy. The voting was going my way. I had checked it earlier in the day, and I was up by like 4 or 5%, something like that. And then right before bed, I think it was around 11 o'clock, I checked the voting on the debate, and I had a 55 to 45% lead. And I thought, oh, okay, whatever. And then right before I was going to sleep, I checked it one more time. And all of a sudden, I was down. I went from being up 10 to being down, I think it was 62 to 38. And I was like, whoa, what happened? And then in the comments section, you could see all these people support FYF Sports with this emoji or this emoji or this one, like FYF, all this stuff. And it was obviously bots had infiltrated it. And I'm thinking, this is just a friendly debate league. You know, like you don't win any money or anything. Well, and it turns out that Gilbert Arenas sent out an Instagram or a Snapchat or something, and he basically put out like, hey, here's this debate, support FYF. And obviously Gilbert Arenas has a lot more followers, than I do, or even Michael Jordan fans of the best, or, whatever. FYF supposedly has 145,000 subscribers. A lot of people say there's no way, based on the amount of comments and how many people watch the videos, there's something fishy going there. But whatever, I don't know what happened. I just know, and Dart from Michael Jordan fans of the best agreed that it was foul play. It was infiltrated by bots, or just basically an unfair practice. And after this thing got turned off, you see the voting of it is swinging back my way again, but it's obviously too late. They flooded it with a whole bunch of votes. And anyway, I did win the debate apparently because of what happened. Anyway, I wanted to touch on a little more about some stuff that went on in that debate that was either not true by what FYF Sports said, or was, just exaggerated. And one of the things was that he said that Bill Russell was like the biggest player in the league when he first came in. And that's just not true. Bill Russell was between 6'9", 6'10". I think he was officially listed at 6'10", but he was like 6'9 and a half, something like that. He was 210 pounds. Wasn't huge. He was tall, very athletic, but he wasn't that big. So here's some of the players that Bill Russell went up against in his playing days. Right away, in 1957, you had Dolph Schayes. He was in the league from 57 to 62. Dolph Schayes was 6'8", 220. Bob Pettit was 6'9", 205. He played him from 57 to 64. Maurice Stokes, really good player. Sad what happened to him. He was going to be a star, but he had encephalitis or something like that, and he ended his life. He was like 36 years old. Really sad. But anyway, he was 6'7", 232 pounds. Played him from 57, 58. Neil Johnston was 6'8", 210. He was in the league. He played him for about 2 years. Will Chamberlain, obviously, 7'1", 275 from 1960 to 1969. Bailey Howell was 6'7", 210. Jerry Lucas, 6'8", 230 pounds. Played him from 64 to 69. Ed McCauley, he was in there for 2 years, 6'8", 185. Walt Bellamy, 6'11", 225 from 62 to 69. Nate Thurmond, 6'11", 225 pounds, 1965 to 1969. Willis Reed, 6'10", 235, from 65 to 69. Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes, only in 69. Then there's some lesser known. Those are all Hall of Fame top 75 players, except for maybe like I think Ed McCauley. Even though Ed McCauley was an 8-time All-Star, I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame. Everybody else was, except for Maurice Stokes, who only played 2 years, I think. But Kenny Sears, 6'9", 198, played for the Knicks for 5 years. Larry Faust, 8-time All-Star. Actually, Ed McCauley is in the Hall of Fame. Larry Faust, an 8-time All-Star. He's not in the Hall of Fame, but he was 6'9", 215. He was in the league playing with Russell from 57 to 61. 2 All-NBA, a rebound title, blah, blah, blah. Woody Salisbury, 6'7", 220. Walter Dukes, 7 foot, 220 pounds, from 57 to 62. Wayne Embry, I think he's in the Hall of Fame, but as a contributor, but he has a borderline player Hall of Fame case. 6'8", 240, 5-time All-Star. He played him from 1958 to 1965. Red Kerr, 6'9", 230, 1957 to 1963. Len Chappell, 6'8", 240, 1962 to 69. Luke Jackson, 6'9", 240, 65 to 69, on and on. Zelmo Beatty, a Hall of Famer, 6'9", 225, played him from 64 to 69. Darrell Imhoff, Bob Boozer from 62 to 69. He's 6'8", 215. Clyde Lee, 6'10", 205. I mean, all these players, big size. And FYF made it sound like Bill Russell was the biggest player on the floor on every team he played. Just not true. I didn't have all the specifics in front of me. Didn't even think that would come up. It's just not true. Go look it up yourself. All this stuff's fact checked. So, another thing that was brought up was all the Hall of Famers that Bill Russell played with. All these Hall of Famers. He played with 12 Hall of Famers. That was the number he said, 12 Hall of Famers. Well, I went through every year, and I came up with 11. Now, there were some guys that were contributors. Okay, like Wayne Embry was a contributor. He was not a Hall of Famer as a player. Don Nelson, Tom Sanders, these guys were Hall of Famers as contributors, not players. Don Nelson was a coach, actually, not a player. But, okay, Frank Ramsey, like I said in my debate, most of these guys would never be Hall of Famers if it wasn't for Russell. And I can prove it to a certain degree. Okay, Frank Ramsey, he played with Bill Russell from 1957 to 1964. He averaged 12, 13, 14 points a game. Never made an all-star team ever. Now, if Bill Russell, you didn't play on this Boston and you didn't win 6-7 championships, you really think you're going to get in the Hall of Fame? Come on. Arnie Rison. Arnie Rison was basically had a Hall of Fame career, okay, in the 50s, and even I think in the late 40s. He played 2 years with Bill Russell when he was older. I think he was like 33, 34 years old. From 57 to 58, those 2 years, he averaged 7 points a game. So we're going to count that as somebody that played with Bill Russell. It's just ridiculous. What a narrative. Well, if you're trying to bring down Russell, that's what you're going to say. Andy Phillip, he's a Hall of Famer, but not because of what he did on Boston. He got the one championship with Bill Russell in Boston in 57. Those 2 years, he averaged 3.9 points per game coming off the bench. He played 2 years and averaged 4 points. That's a Hall of Famer? I mean, yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame, but not a Hall of Famer playing with Russell. He's not a Hall of Famer playing with Russell. Bob Cousy, legitimate Hall of Famer, obviously, but Cousy played 6 years before Russell came along. He was first team All-NBA. He played with, Bill Sharman and other guys. But from 51 to 56, they lost the Eastern Conference semifinals 3 times, the Eastern Conference finals 3 times, never made the finals. And he had Bill Sharman on his team. Bob Cousy won the 1957 MVP because Russell missed about a third or even 40% of the season. And Boston, did really well, so they had to give the MVP to somebody, not Russell, because he missed too many games. Kuzi won the MVP that year. His only one, because Russell was there to enhance their record. Okay. Tommy Heinsohn. Now, he probably would have been a legitimate Hall of Famer. I'm not going to argue that. Played from 1957 to 1965. He came in the same year that Russell did. So that's, 9 years. He was a career 40.5% field goal shooter, 40.2% in the playoffs. Worse than Russell. And this guy is like a small forward, power forward, or whatever. He was a 6-time All-Star in 9 years. Okay, yeah. He might have been a Hall of Famer if he didn't win all those championships. Maybe. Bill Sharman played 5 years with Russell from 57 to 61. He never scored 20 points per game in his 20s. Then Russell joins Boston, and he averages 20-plus points the next 3 years in his 30s with Russell. See what I'm saying? Russell elevates, enhances players. This is what people, for whatever reason, don't understand. I don't know why, but they just don't get it. Okay? Now, Bill Sharman probably would have been a Hall of Famer. He would not have been a top 75 player if it was for Bill Russell. He would not have been. Probably would have been a Hall of Famer, though. Hold on. All right, so anyway, Bill Sharman probably would have been a Hall of Famer. No way would he be a top 75 player if Bill Russell didn't come along. Sam Jones is an interesting one because even Sports and Fitness Rants brought Sam Jones up about how, Sam Jones did all this stuff. Well, Sam Jones backed up Bill Sharman, Bob Cousy, and Frank Ramsey from 58 to 61, his first 4 years. 24 to 27 years old. He was backing him up. He was playing like 20 minutes a game, nothing at all. From 1962 to 1964, he averaged 19.2 points per game when he started getting a little more playing time. In 1965, he averaged 25.9. Then it started going down. He goes to 23.5 to 22.1 to 21.3, and 69, 16.3. He was only ever a 3-time All-NBA second teamer, Sam Jones. 3 times he made All-NBA, second team. Okay? Now, Sam Jones probably would have been a Hall of Famer, but certainly not a top 75 player if he'd never played with Bill Russell. Casey Jones played from 1959 to 1967, 9 years. The guy averaged 7.4 points per game. As the point guard, 4.3 assists. Never an All-Star, not once. No All-NBAs. That guy was not sniffing the Hall of Fame without Bill Russell. Wayne Embry was a contributor, but he only played 2 years with Bill Russell, and he averaged 5.8 points per game on 12 minutes played. Joke. Clyde Lovelet played 2 years with Bill Russell, 63 and 64. He's a Hall of Famer. He averaged 6.6 per game, backing up Bill Russell, 9.5 minutes played. Again, you can count these guys as Hall of Famers, but they were never going to be Hall of Famers without all those championships that Bill Russell provided. John Havlicek definitely is a standalone Hall of Fame, top 75 player, no doubt about it. Him and Bob Cousy are the two that I would argue would definitely have been top 75 with or without Russell. Everybody else, like Sharman and Jones, were top 75. Not without Russell, they wouldn't have been. Havlicek made his first All-Star in 66, his 4th season. He didn't make a first-team All-NBA until 71, until after he was playing with Russell. Bailey Howe, from 67 to 69, he played those 3 years. He got the 1 All-Star while playing with Boston. The 2 years prior to playing with Boston, he averaged 18.4 points per game at 28, 29 years old. Pretty good. The 3 years with Boston, from 67 to 69, he went up to 19.8 between 30 and 32 years old. Again, enhancing the players. Now, in 1955, Boston, they had Don Barksdale, Hall of Famer, Frank Ramsey, Hall of Famer, Bill Sharman, top 75 player, Bob Cousy, top 75 player, Arnie Rison, Hall of Famer, Ed McCauley, Hall of Famer. All were on that 55 Boston team. They lost the East Finals 3-1. 56 Boston had Bill Sharman, Bob Cousy, Arnie Rison, Ed McCauley. 2 top 75, and an additional 2 Hall of Fame players. They lost 2-1 in the Eastern Conference semifinals. That's what I'm talking about. They were decent players, but they couldn't win without Russell. Now, here's the interesting part. Arnie Rison retired in 1958, okay? He was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1998. So he was no first ballot Hall of Famer, not even close. Andy Phillip, who only played those 2 years of Russell, averaged like 7 points a game, he got inducted as a first ballot because all his work was before he played with Boston. Frank Ramsey retired in 1964. He was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1982. Hardly a first ballot Hall of Famer. Bob Cousy was. Tom Heinsohn, 65, he retired, inducted in 1986, 21 years later. I mean, hell, even Pau Gasol was a first ballot Hall of Famer. Sam Jones, 1969, he retired. He was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1984, 15 years later. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer either. How about Bill Sharman? He retired in 61, 1976, 15 years later. Casey Jones, 1967, inducted in 89, 22 years later. Clyde Lovellette, 1964, 1988. Now again, he only played 2 years backing up. Russell averaged 6 points a game, so that one doesn't even really matter. Havlicek was a first ballot Hall of Famer. So really only Cousy and Havlicek, that's it. Bailey Howell, retired in 71, inducted in 1971. So again, these guys were not first ballot Hall of Famers. What happened was the voters for the Hall of Fame took into account championships. That's what mattered all of a sudden. So when they look at Casey Jones, oh, he's got 8 championships. Bailey Howell, he had those 2 championships with Boston. Tommy Heinsohn, he won 8 championships. Sam Jones, he won 11 championships, or 10, I'm sorry, 10 championships. Cousy won all those championships. Frank Ramsey won all those championships, even though he was never an all-star. Neither was Casey Jones. So the only first ballot Hall of Famers that Bill Russell ever played with was Bob Cousy and John Havlicek, at least in their prime. That's it. 2 in 13 seasons. This is why this stuff is just such a joke to me. It really is. About how Bill Russell was the biggest guy and blah, blah, blah. And he played with all these Hall of Famers. Yeah, half of them were never going to be, at least half of them, or they were Hall of Famers outside of their time with Boston. They come in and play for 2 years, put up 7 points a game, and then you say, oh, he's Hall of Famer, played with Russell. I mean, it's just a ridiculous argument. I'm going to have a part B to this, probably tomorrow, about how Will Chamberlain, because I went through it all, because it was driving me, it was really bothering me, how Will Chamberlain has almost the exact same amount of help. Almost exact same amount of help. I mean, I'll show you guys tomorrow. You'll have to see for yourself. But anyway, that's it for this video, and thanks for watching.